This episode of The Construction Record is brought to you by the Ontario Sewer and Water Main Construction Association. Clean water is everybody's business.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 106 of the Construction Record podcast. This is Vince Versace, National Managing Editor of the Daily Commercial News and Journal of Commerce, joining you today for this special episode with Shannon Tymosko, electrical apprentice with IBEW Local 105 and proud ambassador with KickAss Careers. Shannon, say hello.
Well, thank you very much for having me here today. It's always an honor to, share my story and hopefully inspire or, educate a few people along the way. So thank you. And like you said, I'm electrical apprentice and just became a second year, which is very exciting. And like you said, an ambassador for KickAss Careers. Now that's pretty vague. What is that, right? And so an ambassador for KickAss Careers we're just advocate for skilled trades. So, we're passionate about what we do. And so it's a group of us, authentic skilled trades people, a variety of trades, iron worker, boiler maker, welder, electrical myself. And we're just passionate about what we do. And because we're so passionate, we want others to see the potential in what we do. And I think it's, the skilled trades is an underrepresented career, I think. And maybe there's a lot of misconceptions about it as well. And so that's what we're about. And so we just want to talk about our kick-ass career because we love it so much.
Because it actually kicks ass, right? So, and I guess that's probably is the where I wanted to start is how kick-ass is a career in the trades and why? Because this is what your essence is as the ambassador when you're talking to kids, right? And high school kids. So what do you tell them? Like, how kick-ass is it?
There's a lot of, just bullet point forms I could spit out to you, and pay is really what is pretty good. The pension is really good. You get exercise daily. It keeps you young, keeps you physically and mentally healthy. People don't think about that aspect, but I have a previous history in child and youth work, and so mental health and, being physically active every day is actually really healthy for you, for your mental health. There's a lot of challenges and rewards in the skilled trades. Every day you're facing a new task where you're going to have to think and problem solve. And the thing I love a lot is about the confidence and the skills that I've built and the community it brings. So I'll give you an example. So just today right now, it's snowing here in Toronto. It's probably the first big storm of the year. I live in a new subdivision and doesn't get plowed yet. So there's a good bit of snow on the ground, and I drive a standard vehicle. You can understand I just drifted one corner.
Well, it just happened naturally, right? Yeah.
And I pulled into my driveway and I heard coming from where? Oh, my tire. So I'm like, oh no. I get it in the garage really quickly and my tire proceeds to get flat within minutes. So, being a skilled tradesperson, I'm not a car mechanic, I'm an electrical apprentice. But because I, have these basic skills, it's encouraged me to try different things. So I've done some basic car stuff, changed my tires, done my brakes recently. So, within 20 minutes, I was able to take that tire off really quickly, throw on a summer. Thank God I had one. And the community aspect, quickly call a friend at work, friend, I got a problem. He's got a patch kit at home. I found the issue on the tire and we're going to fix it tomorrow. So the skills and the community that it brings just saved me. What would that cost you to take that, to the car mechanic, especially during COVID, where you're going to wait, 3-4 days just to see someone. And so that's really kick-ass that I can solve my problem in just 20 minutes today.
Right. Do you find, like, you talk predominantly to high school kids and elementary school kids? Is that the exposure, who gets exposed to kick-ass, essentially?
Predominantly, Jamie does a lot of the school talking and stuff like that. I think, we're slowly getting larger and getting more ambassadors, and COVID slowed us down, definitely. I think, we're very limited to Zooms and different things.
Mhm.
But prominently, I think the reason that, we ideally would like to target young people is that we truly believe that if you want to change, you need to start young. We need to educate them when they're little.
Mhm.
Most 3, 4, 5-year-olds already know what a doctor, policeman, teacher is, but do they know what brought that power to plug in their really cool iPad that they watch all their YouTube videos on? These are really important people in our community that are underrepresented, and a really great career. So that's why KickAss Careers tries to get into the school board, and we do a lot of talks here in Canada with OEAP, which is Ontario Youth
Mhm.
Apprenticeship Program. That's a school board program, along with Skills Ontario, which is they do events throughout Ontario, which is really nice for young girls. So
Mhm.
to get that exposure out there, and just I think you get change from education. And how do you get educated? You got to start telling the people, and best way to tell them is starting young, right?
Right. So what would be, do you get posed difficult questions by some of these kids, challenging stuff? Like, what's the hard part about when you try to deliver your message?
Um, the hard, I guess there's not really much, it's not really hard to be an ambassador because I am so passionate. Um, you know, you're going to realize that your message is going to fall on some deaf ears. Not everybody is made to be a skilled trades worker, and I totally respect that. And so like, I'm just trying to reach the few that didn't realize that maybe it was a potential for them. I just need to reach a few. So the difficult part isn't necessarily so much the students, because high school kids, ask them at the end of any presentation, does anybody have any questions for me? Normally it's no for a few minutes, and then maybe like one will be like
Right.
they'll maybe, and normally they're questions about school. And that's a nice thing about being in the skilled trades is we do go to school. Don't be confused. I do go to school, and I go to accredited college, but it's not the same format that when you go to the
Mhm.
University of Toronto. So for people who don't understand, it's block placement. I go to school for 10 weeks, and I'm learning about what I've just really learned in the field, working with my hands. In school, I'm learning the theory behind it, the whys. Then I go
Right.
back to back on the tools, and I work for another year, and then I get to go learn some more. So there is education in that
Mhm.
process. And so the difficult part, not so much um, the kids and their questions, but I think the difficult part, especially as your network grows, um, everybody's got an opinion, everybody has different views. 7 billion people on this planet, and there's going to be a lot that disagree with you. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of eyes watching. That's the difficult part, especially being a woman in the skilled trades. Everybody's got something to say, especially because we're partnered with some government programs. We always want to be presentable, and sometimes there's always that kind of conflict of, I still want to be me though. Like,
Yeah. Right.
you
Right.
have to remember that you're
Mhm.
representing a brand, not a brand, but you
Mhm.
know, image. That
Image. Yeah.
yeah.
And I was wondering, do is that kind of the questions you get from some of the female students or female people that you may talk to, the girls, the young girls? Like, are they just generally that curious? Like, Shannon, how'd you end up being a Sparky? You know what I mean? How'd you end up, what I mean, being an electrical going in? Like, do you find you get more questions from girls on how or why? I guess is my question.
Not necessarily how or why, because
Yeah.
it's, I think, more so about the challenges of the daily work.
Hmm.
People are often, they're, oh, can you lift that? Oh, you have to lift so much. Well, there's laws put in place now. Like
Hmm.
the work that used to be 50 years ago is not the work that it is today. We are about keeping people safe. We want people to go home alive, which means, there's rules and laws. So, you can only go so high on a ladder before you're tied off. People are afraid of heights. Well, this immediately brings down that fear.
Hmm.
So their questions are normally a little bit more physical based, and I think that's just because they're so young. They don't know to have those next questions.
Right. No.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there was, and you've been now an apprentice, you're in your second year of apprenticeship, is it? Right. So, I guess the question to ask is, we do plenty of stories about the apprenticeship system, what's broken, what works. So here you are, you're in it, right? If you could have the magic of snapping your fingers and fix one thing about the system, about the apprenticeship system, as somebody who's in it right now and experiencing it, what would it be?
Um, I watched this documentary recently. It was called Generation Jobless, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like a 45-minute little thing on Prime. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Prime. Anyways, and it was like a Canadian CBC something, like it was a Canadian publication, and about the school systems and the universities and all that kind of stuff. And they talked about one of the Scandinavian countries. They have an apprenticeship program that starts in high school. So in grade 9, we identify that you're interested in electrical. You know what? We're not going to we're going to put you into we're going to send you for the necessary, obviously, education,
Mm-hmm.
the skills, the math that you need to do this, but we're going
Right.
to get you into an apprenticeship program starting now. And they groom these people so that they're prepared when they're 18 years of age to enter the workforce with the skills that they
Mm-hmm.
need. And so I wish that there was, it's not about the apprenticeship program. I wish there was more in high school,
Right.
because it would just make us more prepared, because the hardest part about the apprenticeship is getting into the apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
If our young people have basic skills because they were taught it in high school, then maybe they'd be a little bit more, you know, enticing to these employers that are looking to hire. Right now, they don't have any of those basic skills. Most of them can't even say in high school I did tech class.
Right.
Most of them didn't have that even option. So
Mm-hmm.
starting young in and giving them those opportunities to see if they like it.
Right. I think back, yeah, to the high school experience. You had your tech class, your what are the industrial arts, it was called in my time, right? And you had your home ec, but some of that stuff got done away with,
Yeah.
and how do you expose the hands-on part of it? I was lucky growing up in a construction family. You know
Right.
what I mean? And my kids now are lucky enough, they see me. The only thing I don't do is electrical, interestingly enough. So more on the carpentry side, but
Well, and there's nobody in my family that, like, not nobody, but my
Mhm.
mom's kind of handy. She'll build a few things, but there's no skilled tradespeople where it's their career. And so I'm the first one. And what gave me the idea that I could be a skilled tradesperson is my friend bought a house, and
Mhm.
he's like, okay, we're tearing out the kitchen. And I'm like, you're crazy, but we did, and it was me trying it, just trying it and going, wow, I really like this.
Mhm.
It's in trying things that you discover your passions.
Right.
And so, you got to start by just trying.
It's true. You mentioned the word passion, and we can't be talking about KickAss Careers without talking about one individual in particular,
Right.
Jamie McMillan, right? For those of you that are longtime readers, some of our listeners, we've had Jamie on before in interviews. Really, one of the first strong advocates, I could say. I've been with the DCN 13 years, and that I've seen somebody really standing up and talking about with passion the life of being in the trades. So I ask you, maybe tell our listeners a little bit about Jamie and how she's been a mentor and an inspiration to you.
Well, I first met Jamie through a pre-apprenticeship program. And so in Canada, um, the YWCA Hamilton had a government funded program, and some of that was having guest speakers come in. And she was the first woman that I'd seen that was a real trades person. You've seen pictures on the slides. Oh, look at those pretty construction workers in
Right.
their clean clothing, but
Yes.
you've never really seen a real one.
Hmm.
And so she, gave her little presentation and told us about herself. And it gave me anyways, that like inspiration and that kind of motivation to keep going. Because sometimes it can be really hard being the only female in a sea full of fish or men,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's no one can 100% relate to you, because
Hmm.
I do think men and women are different. We're the same, but we are different. And so it was the first chance I had to see a real tradesperson. And so that was the first time I met her. And since then our relationships blossomed to, and like I said, an ambassador for
Hmm.
KickAss Careers. And, we do little videos for her Skills Ontario presentations and OEF. And so she helps facilitate and kind of mentor us on, our speaking arrangements, and
Mm-hmm.
and if we do, like, it's sometimes days are hard, and so we have like a little group chat where, today was a bad day, let's, like, I just need to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to have that person you can call.
So Shannon, I really should ask, you're a woman in the trades, you're living this experience, you're 2 years into your apprenticeship. What is your advice? What do you say to women that maybe considering a life in the trades, transitioning to a career in the trades, or are in it and having one of those bad days like you just talked about, that sometimes you need someone to listen to?
Right. It is really hard being a woman in the skilled trades, and I try to remind myself that when I entered this job, because I wanted a job that I could thrive on, not just survive on. It's really hard these days to find a good paying job and one that can provide you a future, like a pension and things like that. So no, those are the basics that I go to, but I try to remind myself just to be strong, and there are hard days, but there's a lot of more good days that outweigh the bad days. And when you do have those tough ones, remember, you don't see the girls on the construction site, but there is so many women out there. There's Facebook group pages, and even if you're interested in the skilled trades and you have questions, there are Facebook pages, women in the skilled trades, where you can go to and ask, any question that you might have. So if you're interested, give it a try. I do encourage you, just, if you have home projects, try one today. See if you like it. And if today's one of your tough days at work, girlfriend, like, you've been doing it. I know today's terrible, but one day at a time, that's all you can do. And there's so much reward that is in the skilled trade. So look past that one bad day and move on, hopefully.
With that, Shannon, thank you so much for making some time to talk to us and tell us about your story.
Thank you very much for having me, and look forward to any future endeavors together.
All right, thank you.
This episode of The Construction Record is brought to you by the Greater Toronto Sewer and Water Main Contractors Association. Clean water, our goal, our future.